believe that there's three things that you need to get into: volume, consistency, and follow-up. Period. The ability to make money and serve people at like one of the highest levels is so fulfilling to me. If so many investors can take that mindset, it's gonna shift the whole industry who just want to change their life through real estate.
What's going on, guys? Welcome, Clifford Walker. Thank you so much for taking the time with that beautiful hat. Before we get into it, I kind of want to go take a step back and kind of see how you got into real estate in the first place.
Ooh, doggy. Well, what's going on, brother? First off, let me just say it's an honor and a blessing and a privilege to be here and get to spend some time chatting with you and your community. I appreciate the compliments on the hat too. Thank you. um, but it's funny how I got started in real estate investing that you asked. So I haven't been doing real estate that long. I got started in 2019. And I was a truck driver when I got started. So it's funny how it happened. I was in West Texas. And if anybody's been out there in West Texas, there's nothing out there. But what's so funny is like I was driving through West Texas and there was a podcast on the radio. And it just goes to show how, for your listen, and I'm a man of faith, by the way. If you're doing something you're not called to do, it will eventually lead to the thing you're called to do. But I'm sitting there driving down the highway and there's a podcast on, and it's a guy out in New York named Mark something. I can't remember his last name, but he's literally on this podcast and he's talking about how much money he's making in real estate investing. So I'm just sitting there on the edge of my seat because there's nothing else to listen to. And I'm like glued to it, just driving and listening. But it like lit a fire under me. Whenever I got back home, I come tell my wife, like, babe, we're going to start wholesaling real estate. She looked at me like I was crazy, like, what in the heck are you talking about? And what is wholesaling real estate? But it's funny. That's how it started for me.
And what was the differences in your life like in that truck driver role versus now being in real estate?
Oh man, you're talking about night and day difference, right? Like, and for me, like truck driving, I hated it with a passion. I really did. It was just a way to make ends meet and provide for my family, right? I was gone over the road for weeks at a time. And plus I'm married, got two daughters, like, and I did that for 7 years. Like, you'll be surprised what you miss, being gone over the road over a 7 year span from, school recitals to soccer games to everything in between, right? And so I genuinely hated it with a passion. So when I started doing real estate full time, it just the fact to be home and be present uh, just gave me a whole new level of joy that I can't even explain. And then two, the ability to make money and serve people at like one of the highest levels is so fulfilling to me. Like, I wake up excited for the day. I genuinely do. So I would say it's a night and day difference.
And what were the ages of your daughters when you went from truck driving over to real estate?
Teens, I don't know, because I don't know. I got to do the math, right? Now you're gonna make me think. So they're what, 23 and 20 now. So I've been doing this in 2019, so about 6 years. So what does that put them around 16, 17?
17? Yeah, something like that. Okay. So definitely missed most of the younger years driving. So I can definitely see where your excitement comes from now. And for the people listening, what does your business look like today?
So today we do primarily virtual wholesaling in several different markets, from Texas to Atlanta to Columbus, Ohio, Sacramento, California. What other markets are we in? I think that's it right off the top. It's about 6 different markets. So primary virtual wholesaling. I pick up certain flips as I can. I'll normally do a handful of flips a year, and then pick up a handful of rentals a year as I go.
Awesome. And what was the main problem that you were trying to solve when starting this business?
Honestly, make money. Right? I wish I could say that there was this huge shift. Well, I always have the heart to serve people. That's always been there. But I also, like, even when I listened to that first podcast, right, it was the money that caught me. Like, wow, I could make an incredible living. And me, I'm not a super educated person. I don't have any master's degrees, bachelor's degrees hanging on the wall, right? So I've always worked these blue collar jobs, like breaking my back and working myself to the bone, right? So the mere fact that I could make a living, a good living, provide for my family that didn't require me to be breaking my back, right? And so that's what it really was that caught my attention at first. But as I got going and I saw the families that we were serving, that we were helping, these families that were facing foreclosure and going through probate and tax delinquent and all this stuff, right? I'm like, wow, we're making money and we're helping these people, right, through this tough season in their life.
Yeah. Why do you think, or what do you think the or biggest mistake that you see investors make that you think could be the easiest avoided?
Oh, that's a great question. I think now, and for me personally, to kind of piggyback on the serving side of things, like I think that so many investors focus on going in there and just lowballing the seller, right? Trying to get this lowball offer, this lowball property. But when you go in there and you focus on serving, it alleviates any pressure of you needing to become this grandmaster closer, number one. Number two, these people are going through a tough season in their life. They need people to come in there and pray with them, not pray on them. Does that make sense? Right? Because they're facing foreclosure, as I mentioned a moment ago, or they're in tax delinquent. And so when you go in there and that's your motive is, hey, how can I serve you, how can I be a blessing, just the deals kind of start flowing, right? And then you get to have peace. You don't feel like you're taking advantage of people or whatever, right? Like, I never force a deal. I let people know that, hey, if we're a good fit to work together, great. If not, great. So I think that if so many investors can take that mindset, it's going to shift the whole industry so much, right? Because there's kind of like this narrative, that, oh, wholesalers are slimy or investors are slimy. They just want to take advantage of people. And that's not the case. You know, real investors that serve, uh, I know some amazing, incredible investors that serve at the highest level, and it's such a blessing to see.
Want to get motivated sellers that nobody knows about? Introducing 10x TV. If you want to create credibility in your market, find deals that nobody else knows about, and crush your competition, you need to check into TV commercials. It is the new buzz in the real estate investing industry since we introduced it several years ago. I've been using TV commercials myself for the last 12 years and it's absolutely crushed it. So if you want to learn how to get on TV and to do something that little to no people are doing right now, go to claimmymarket.com. Again, that's claimmymarket.com. We usually only work with 2 investors per market, so if you're interested, reach out to us and book a call to see if you can claim your market before anybody else does. Now back to the show.
Why do you think a lot of investors overlook that part?
Because of the money. Right? I think that it, I don't know. I think that a lot of people do get caught up in the income, and I don't think social media. I'm not anti-social media, right? I post all the time, but I think that when people are posting their $50,000 deals, $100,000 deals, assignment fees, etc., their flips, right? People get caught up in that. It's easy to get caught up in that, right? And so I think that a lot of people do.
Mm. What do you think the biggest misconception is about real estate investing in general, but more specifically wholesaling?
I don't know. I think that people overcomplicate it, right? I think that so many people think you have to have these huge marketing budgets, these huge systems and platforms and teams and things of that nature. And I fell down that rabbit hole myself. Um, and I think that when you try to get extra complicated, right, like keep it simple. It's hard to scale complicated, right? And the simpler that you can keep your life, and maybe that's just the country boy in me, I like simple things. It just, it takes away the anxiety and all of that other stuff. That's number one when it comes to wholesaling. I think even on the money side, I kind of want to flip gears a little bit. I think that we need to change the perspective to say that, hey, if you're not doing $100,000 a month or more, that you're not being successful, right? So I've been preaching this so much this year. It's just been on my spirit really heavy. So I tell people like this, especially folks that I coach that are in my community, like the median price or the median income in households in America right now is right at $80,000 a year, right? That's the median income. So I told somebody, I said, if you did one or two deals a month and you made $20,000 a month, that is almost $250,000 a year. That's $240,000 a year. You mean to tell me their life is not going to be different if their income triples and they go from 20 to $80,000 a year to $20,000 a month? That's insane, right? Their income literally just tripled, right? In Texas, some fun facts. So in Texas, if you make $20,000 a year, you qualify for a $900,000 house. That's a beautiful home for us here in Texas. Where are you located?
I live in Willis, so like North Houston area, Lake Conroe.
Oh, so you already know. A $900,000 house is a beautiful home. I don't care where you live at in Texas, right? So 100%, right? You can drive. I'm a tither, right? So I can tithe $24,000 a year, right? I can drive a Range Rover or whatever kind of fancy car you like. I'm more of a diesel guy, but but I think that when we shift that perspective on so many people, it's like, wow, it doesn't take 100 deals a month to become successful. And I guess the way that I've been preaching that is because when I first got started, I was going to all these masterminds and meetups and things of that nature, and you see people with the Rolexes, the Rolls Royce, the Ferraris, and all of those things are great. I love them, right? I love them, love them, love them. But then I started feeling bad because I was only doing 4 or 5 deals a month, and I started to minimize the amount of success that I was seeing in my own life, and I'm like, no, that's not the case. That doesn't define success. And so I think that a lot of new investors specifically, let's shift our mindset and say, hey, let me just get to $20,000 a month. Because when you get to $20,000 a month, now you have options. You have consistent income. Now you can say, you know what? I have proof of concept. I'm doing deals consistently. I know how to get leads. I know how to close deals. Should I scale it at this point? And then now you say, okay, now I have money to scale it. Should I want to pour money into marketing, do more marketing, etc.? So I think that needs to kind of be like a phase one for so many new investors and stop looking at $100,000 a month when you just got started and you hadn't closed one deal.
Well, I think the other thing too is the time freedom, like you were talking about earlier. It's like, especially if you're going from a job like, trucking or something where you're oil field, a lot of oil field around here, especially, it's like if you go from something like that to be able to, I mean, even just sit in the home office and bang the phones all day, that's a big difference. Income aside. So yeah, I definitely see where you're going with that. As far as strategies, key strategies, I know this year's been an interesting year for a lot of investors. What do you think the main strategies were this year for you? And then what are some key strategies that you're looking to use next year that you think will be big for you?
So the biggest strategy that I kind of shifted for me this year was we still do direct to seller, but now we do a lot of marketing on the MLS. So properties are sitting longer, they're taking longer to sell. Sellers are getting anxious. We probably send out a little over 250 offers every single day on properties that are sitting right on the MLS that have been listed on the market for longer than 30 days. And you'll be surprised how many of those are taking a much, much lower offer. I mean, substantially lower. In fact, for if anybody, this is a golden nugget for anybody. Go on Zillow, filter the properties that have been listed for 30 days or longer, and offer them 65% of whatever it's listed at. That's it. Like, that is the easiest, quickest way I can get anybody a deal. I can get anybody in the game. And I'm telling you, we're doing probably 11 to 15 of these a month just from the MLS. And so you'll be surprised how many folks take those offers. And so right now we're just riding that wave and see what happens going into 2026 because things may turn around and stuff starts selling like hotcakes, then that strategy is not going to work anymore. Right. So we'll I just pay attention to what the market's doing during the time. I don't know. I'm not that sharp. Like I don't have a crystal ball, right? I just kind of try to pay attention to what's working and what's going on and how can I capitalize on it.
And from those MLS offers, let's say someone accepts it, are you, and this could be property to property, but are you wholesaling them, fixing, flipping them, keeping them? What's kind of your strategy on most of those?
Mostly wholesaling and then keeping the ones that I like, the really home runs.
Are you keeping them like in a certain state? Like, does it have to be in Texas or have to be by you, or you don't mind keeping in other places?
Right now, maybe it's just I don't know. It's the rookiness in me, maybe, right? I still consider myself a newbie in the game. Uh, I like stuff that I can get to a reasonable driving distance. Anything that I buy, I still want to go and look at it, be able to drive by it. Uh, I hadn't gotten to the point where, I'm buying a lot in other states.
Coming from trucking, I mean, a quick drive for you could be 8 hours. I don't know. You know what I mean?
It's typically between Dallas and Houston is where most of my property.
I got you. Because you could still be in Texas and have a good 8 hour drive for sure. So,
Easy for sure.
what do you think separates the top operators from everyone else in the business?
Consistency. Um, I've realized, or in my opinion, I believe that there's three things that you need to get a deal: volume, consistency, and follow up. Period. Period, period, period. If somebody's not doing deals consistently, it's because there's a break in one of those chains, right? Volume, consistency, and follow up. And so I think that some of the top investors, they've just gotten really good at managing those three things, right? Increasing their volume by maybe hiring teams, staying consistent as a leader and in the industry, and just following up on everything. I think that's what it comes down to with life, right? Like if I want to lose weight, guess what? I need volume, consistency, and follow up, right? Like I need volume. I can't go to the gym once a week, once a month. I typically have to go at least a few times a week, right? I need consistency. I need to do it not just this week, but every week, right? And then I need to follow that up with good eating, good nutrition. That's across the board, right? You go to your fiance, you want a good marriage. I promise you, you better take her on a date regularly. You better stay consistent with it, right? And you better follow through 100%. Like that's life, right?
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to something you said earlier. You talked about masterminds. How big do you think that laid an impact on you? And what would you say to an investor that's kind of scared to invest some money or profit even into something like, it doesn't matter the group, because everyone's different. Everyone's going to find their own group, but just a group in general.
Oh, it's detrimental. I think it's extremely important, right? A doctor doesn't just go out of high school and go straight to operating on somebody, right? They go to college and they spend hundreds of $1,000s on an education, right? To make a couple $100,000 a year, right? Why would you not spend, 10, 20, 30, $50,000, whatever it may be, to become a part of a mastermind to where you can make millions? Right? It's like I don't understand why people are so scared to invest in themselves in that arena. And somebody told me something that they weren't being ugly. It was just really putting things in perspective. They asked me when I had just started, Clifford, have you ever ran a seven-figure company? I was like, no. Okay, what makes you think you know how? Like, wow, like I don't know. There's so much, there's a lot of little nuances that go into that, right? And so I say that to anybody. If you don't know how to run a six-figure company or a seven-figure company or an eight-figure company, right? Like you need to go and get coaching and get around people that are doing those things so that you can learn from it, like point blank and simple. So I highly encourage it. I think that's probably been one of the biggest things that I don't talk about enough, but I personally have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching, courses, education, mentorships. Like I am really big on that.
Mm. I want to go back to another thing you said. You talked about success and the word success. I feel like everyone's got their own definition for it. Everyone kind of strives for it differently. How do you define success and how do you strive for it in your day to day life?
I like it, man. I love it. For me, it's about being present. The moment I was able to quit my job and do this full time and be home with my family, I became successful. Right? And being able to serve and pour into my community. I'm a simple guy, right? Like I like nice things, right? But I don't live above my means. I don't go crazy, right? I don't need $1 million a month. Perfectly, I'll get there, right? I still want to get there, but I define that by like the impact that I make. One thing that I personally do is I track my quote unquote success by the amount of money that we give away. It's probably one of the only KPIs that I track on how much we give on a yearly basis. Because I have to realize that I'm not just doing this for me, I'm doing this for a kingdom impact and to change lives and to give God all the glory in that aspect. So I guess that's how I would describe it.
That's awesome. I love it. You talked about obviously stuff sitting on the market a lot longer, but other than that, what do you think the biggest change in real estate that you're seeing right now?
Um, I just think that that's it, honestly. I think that what was it, pandemic, pre, like during that little era when stuff was going same day on market, it was insane, 20, $30,000 over asking. I think that correction is kind of happening now, and things are kind of simmering down to where people are realizing like, hey, my house really isn't worth what I thought it was worth, right? And so it's just a lot of that. People are coming back to reality in regards to that. I'm also seeing a lot of folks who overpaid for their house, and now that they're trying to sell it, they can't even get from up under it because of what they owe on it, right? So we'll kind of see how that goes. I think there might be an opportunity for more creative stuff uh, here in the near future as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of low interest. You can definitely, sub to some of those and take over some payments for sure. I want to ask you a challenging question. It might not be super challenging, but more of a thinking question. I know those are your favorite. Um, let's say the business goes away, completely get rid of it. You can keep all the knowledge you've learned in the past 6 years, but the business itself, everything that came with it is gone. What would you focus on first if you were going to rebuild what you have now?
Uh, Dispositions, right? Real estate is a relationship based business. I know so many new investors and people getting started. I see these folks in some of these massive real estate groups. They'll get these properties under contract and they don't know how to get them to the finish line, right? But at the end of the day, a contract doesn't do you any good unless you have an end buyer that can close on that and get that deal to the finish line. So I would spend my entire days uh, JVing with investors that have properties and building out a powerful end buyers list and then just joint venture on that. So this way, I already have the contract. I can already go and make the connections and find those buyers and get those deals moved and started creating income that way. Would probably be something really quick that I could do that's a massive value to so many real estate investors.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've never heard someone start with dispo. I've asked that question a lot. Um, I love that answer too, because I feel like a lot of people might get the deal and then they're like, "Oh shit, what do I do with it?" Or yeah, right. So, um, yeah, definitely, I like your thinking on that.
Because that's what I did when I first got started. I'm like, oh man, all my coaches said go get the deal. But now what? Wait a minute, right? How do I get paid on this? I got a deal. I need to go get paid. And so it's dispositions is a powerful strategy, right? You think about, there's companies that is all they do is help other investors get their deals to the finish line. Like that alone can be its own business model. And guess what? Now you're not spending, 10, 20, 30, $40,000 in marketing a month. At one point, we were literally spending $80,000 a month in marketing. That's scary. And we hadn't even closed a deal that month, right? So now that just alleviates all of that pressure.
Mm. Who's been the biggest impact for you personally in this space?
Man, there's so many. I don't think I really can just pinpoint one single person. I really can't. Um, I mean, obviously God, and then my wife, because my wife was so supportive on this journey, you know, with me. But then, of course, I had my very first coach and mentor. He's a local coach here in Dallas. But then I've watched just about every single person's podcast, every single body's YouTube, from Praise to Brent to Jerry Norton to right, like all of these guys. And so I really, everybody poured into me. Everybody was coaching me, even from a distance. Even if I couldn't afford their coaching at the time, I would binge watch, Brent Daniels at one point, like crazy, until I could afford his mentorship. It was everybody. It's a melting pot, and everybody played their role in my life. I think when I got started, I was just real estate, real estate, real estate. I didn't watch TV. I didn't do anything. The only thing that you heard on my radio or on YouTube was some type of real estate video.
Yeah, I love it. If someone is curious, I know you have kind of a coaching program or community, if you will. Um, I'd love for you to touch on it a little bit. Who would be the right fit? Who might not be the right fit, maybe yet or ever? But what kind of people are you looking for, and what exactly would someone that is the right fit? What would they join it for? What would be the main points on that?
100%. So I do have a community. It's called the Real Estate Corral Investors Network. It's a national community, a private community. So um, normally we help and work with the newbies. So somebody brand new getting in the game, right? Trying to buy their first rental, trying to buy their first flip, their first wholesale. So we get them off of the bench into the game and getting them to that $20,000 a month consistently, right? So we have a lot of active investors that come in to get to that level, but then also a lot of people join too who are on the passive side. So we have a lot of private money lenders in our community that come in who know people are buying flips, know people are buying rentals. Now that gives them a safe place to lend their money on people who are getting educated on how to buy these properties correctly so they're not sitting on the market for 150 days, or they're not overpaying for these properties and losing their tail. So it's just a community of real estate investors who believe in making a kingdom impact, believe in serving at a high level, and who just want to change their life through real estate investing.
That's awesome. Where can people learn more about you? Where can people find you? If someone is interested in that group, where would they go?
They can find me on social media, Clifford Walker, the Cowboy Closer, across all platforms. I'm not hard to find. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and there's normally links. I'll normally post a link to maybe a live training I'm doing, or something like that. They can find on my page.
Awesome. Awesome. And for those of you watching, he never goes without the hat. It's a staple. It's a piece.
No.
Any final advice or any final words for any investors that might be listening that are looking to grow, scale, or maybe simplify?
For sure. I think I would just encourage people, get really crystal clear. I got to speak at a mastermind a few weeks ago to some incredible real estate investors who were scaling and who, I mean, are absolutely crushing it. And I just really told people to, hey, let's redefine what success really means to us. And let's get crystal clear as we're going into this next year, 2026. Like, what do you really want? Right? Like, because some people were telling me how, spending this 40, $50,000 a month is giving them more anxiety than peace, right? And it's like, well, okay, let's cut that out, right? If it's taking from our life and not adding the value that we truly want. And so I think that's the biggest thing, that, hey, wherever you are in life, let's simplify that thing, right? And let's get crystal clear, because for me, right, not only am I doing real estate, I have my nonprofit. I'm married. I got daughters. Like, we're traveling. Like, that's what's important to me. And everything that I set up and do is based around those things, right? And so I think that would be my best advice there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you for watching. Clifford, thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll see you next time.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.